Hey y'all, new day, new verses as we continue Matthew 11. Today we're talking about judgment for the unbelievers in verses 20 through 24. Here we go. Then Jesus began to denounce the towns where he had done so many of his miracles, because they hadn't repented of their sins and turned to God. What sorrow awaits you, Chorazin and Bethsaida! For if the miracles I did in you had been done in wicked Tyre and Sidon, their people would have repented of their sins long ago, clothing themselves in burlap and throwing ashes on their head to show their remorse. I tell you, Tyre and Sidon will be better off on Judgment Day than you. And you people of Capernaum, will you be honored in heaven? No, you will go down to the place of the dead. For if the miracles I did for you had been done in wicked Sodom, it would still be here today. I tell you, even Sodom will be better off on Judgment Day than you. I like kind of how it flows together. Because, when I used to read this verse, I was thinking, it's like, okay, that's a sudden change to just saying curse, 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 curse. And I started thinking about it. His many miracles. John says that he picked out specific miracles that he wanted to say to make his point. That there were many more miracles that Jesus performed, and writing them all down would consume or take out more books, more volumes than this world has. I believe that. Especially since how many he will go help. How many he did help. How on his way to help an official's daughter, he will help another daughter who has been suffering for years. So I can fully believe that God will have done so many miracles, that Jesus would have committed so many wondrous signs and miracles, that to doubt it would be remarkably foolish. You gotta figure the ancient people, although perhaps more superstitious than we are not morons in any way, shape, or form. They did not have the understanding that we do, but still an intelligence. So wanting to examine it, wanting to understand, that's going to be done. People saying it's just a charlatan, they're going to go looking. That's how we got the volumes of Luke and Acts. It was somebody wanting to go digging to see, okay, is this actually true? And so it makes me think, okay, why so is he denouncing these towns? Well, because God is showing himself true. He's not only showing that he's in the neighborhood right here, right now, wanting to help, but he's done it so many times that one would argue it's kind of those, okay, you have to be choosing to close your eyes at this point. I've made the joke that I've seen too much to be an atheist, and it's there for a reason. I've seen and experienced too much. To say that God doesn't exist, I'd be only making myself a liar for my own experiences. I can look at the science, I can look at the math, I can look at all of the variables, and I can tell you that without an external hand, it doesn't work. And so I can understand why Jesus would say that even Sodom would be better off. That Tyre and Sidon, Old Testament, a lot of fun reading, would be better off. All these places of wickedness and evil that's pervasive, to the point where we even still have an expression that uses Sodom in its name. Like, these are places that were known, still partially known for their wickedness. And Jesus is saying, yeah, I came through trying to rescue all of you. Your choice was to ignore. Your choice was to bury your head in the sand. Your choice, when seeing that God holds you through all things and has proven himself true time and time and time again, is to bury the head in the sand and say, why God, why have you forsaken me? Haven't you been paying attention, Israel? Do you think the Lord can come and go? He cannot. So why do you say, why has my Lord forsaken me? How can you think that the Lord has abandoned you? Yes, it's a harsh quoting of Isaiah, but the core of the idea stands. An omniscient God can't bail on anybody. Such is the nature of omnipresence. If you're everywhere, you can't be anywhere that he's not. So at that point, it all comes down to, are we choosing to actively ignore him? Now, I would argue there are some people who, even in Western society, have not had the opportunity to learn who Jesus is. Especially since there tends to be a lot of Bible thumpery and, poor ways of sharing that God is love among the Christian community. I've fallen for these same traps myself. It's difficult to show people the love of God when there's a tendency to try and use fear to do it. And it's like, no. It's not about fearing, being afraid, living in terror. It's about a healthy respect. It's understanding that once you recognize you are not top dog, it's a little easier to fit things out. Because people who put themselves on their own altars, they're the ones usually struggling the most. Well, I have to figure out a way to do it. I have to pull myself up by my bootstraps. Well, perhaps the slip of the tongue there on my part shows my thoughts a bit more intently than I care to. If we could truly pull ourselves up by our own, why hasn't our species yet? And God's pointing out here, it's like, if you see me actively working and you still choose to believe that I'm not going to help you, why? If you've seen miracle after miracle after miracle after moment where God has proven true to his name, and you're still going, well, yeah, but God couldn't conquer this giant, then why the unbelief? Because if he's proven himself true then, he'll prove himself true now, and he'll prove himself true in the future. God is the same yesterday, today, and forever. So then, just by simple logic or algorithm, God will prove himself true. Now, is that easy to remember in the moment? No. And that's when we're called to dig into the Word even more. To remember the road blocks and the sign, the road markers that say, this is where my God has proven himself true. Because if God does those signs and those wonders in your life, remember them. Hold on to them. So that when another giant comes, you're not sitting in the same boat as Capernaum and Bethsaida and Chorazin, where God has performed many miracles but you refuse to believe. You'll be traveling with him, understanding that he's got it. It may not look the way we want it, but he's got it. It's about trust. Something I hope we can all dig into more and more as we come to rely on the Lord. Tomorrow I look forward to finishing off chapter 11 with verses 25 through 30 with Jesus' prayer of thanksgiving. I hope to see you guys then. May his favor be upon you. And know that you are loved and he'll see you through. I'll see you then.